Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is the 7th part of What If Deku Was Sanji's Reincarnation, My Heroes Reborn. The author of this great fanfic is Emma. I believe links to them and original story in the description. Chapter 7, Gearing Up for the Sports Festival. Izuku's decision to ask Momo to help him train was mixed bag. The pros was that she's strong, really strong. Monster trio strong. Could fight to an even match with Zoro strong. The con was the point of the training, learning how to fight back. He could almost picturing miniature version of himself scolding the part of him that was Sanji about this fact. It didn't help that he almost died multiple times do not fighting back against women. But the training was worth it, as the more they sparred the easier he found it hit back. Plus it helped that they gave each other advice during the training, and Izuku helped her train in something she wanted to try. Both of them of course agreed that while they were helping each other now, when the sports festival came they were rivals. However, that wasn't the only thing going on between them of course. Izuku making lunches for All Might ended up working as well. He was surprised how good a cook Izuku became. Then Recovery Girl, the school nurse, got wind of Izuku's cooking skills and gave him a meal plan for All Might. At least one other thing happened tied to that, but it was better not to get into it. It was really weird. There were the they sessions. After hearing about Izuku's first childhood, both Achiko and Momo decided to come clean about theirs. Achiko's wasn't as bad, sure it dealt with emotional distant father who said a lot of horrible things but did eventually made things right. It did help to get it off her chest. Momo's first childhood, well, it was horrifying. She was kidnapped at a young age, forced into slavery building a tower that's supposed to revive an extremely powerful mage, which as it turned out wouldn't have worked because the guy as it turned out was alive at the time. She brutally tortured, and even lost an eye. She also had to watch a man who became like a grandfather to her and other children forced to become slave die in front of her, sacrificing his life. What was worse was that one of her friends ended up brainwashed and took over the tower, forcing everyone but her to remain slaves to the tower in order to revive the evil mage, but making it seem like he was a good guy in doing so while she was forced to leave or else they would all die. During that session where revealed this, everyone in the room just stared at her in shock. Wow! Said Achiko, unsure how to repose. I think that's the worst child I have ever heard, and I knew a lot of with really bad childhoods. Said Izuku. Please tell me you didn't have bad childhoods in your past lives. Said Hibiki to the other two. No, my parents were a little strict but when I learned how to party it got better. Said Toru. My childhood was fine, it's the teen years that's the problem. Mumbled Mashireo. Don't worry, things turned out well after that. Said Momo. Thankfully the next session she explained that after she joined Fairy Tail, and after several years Jalal managed to break free of the brainwashing, but they did think he was dead for a few months, and had amnesia when he came back. Though there were other stuff brought that during that time he pretended to be his own twin brother and became a member of the Magic Council, their government. I am an AI, so I have no problems with dealing with hurt feelings. Said Aiko. What? Asked Momo. Great start to a conversation. Muttered Hibiki. So I have no qualms in saying that Jalal was a living character in a soap opera. Said Aiko. What? Asked almost everyone else. He was brainwashed, then when he was freed from it he dies, but turned out he didn't, but then he had amnesia. Said Aiko, ergo he's a soap opera character. Everyone in the room weren't sure how to react to Aiko's pointing that out. Momo was blushing in embarrassment. It's okay. Assured Toru. But it wasn't just training and sessions, there were other things as well. Namely Bakugo. For the first few days after Izuku's conversation with him he tried to goad him by calling out to him before lunch or after class. But each and every time, Izuku would ignore him. About the 5th time at this, Bakugo realized he was being completely serious when he had said that he wasn't kidding around when he said he wanted nothing to do with him. So he started to harass the other members of the group. He went after Achiko first. Pink cheeks! He yelled. What? Asked Achiko. Tell me why Deku has been avoiding me, said Bakugo. I thought he told you himself," said Ochako, glaring at him. Bakugo didn't respond. "We're also not allowed to talk about anything from therapy," muttered Ochako, who then walked away. "Hey, get back here!" yelled Bakugo. But she didn't listen. He tried again with Mashireo. "Hey! You!" yelled Bakugo. "What?" said Mashireo. "Tell me why Deku's been avoiding me," said Bakugo. "Do you even know my name?" said Mashireo with his eye twitching. "Why should I care about an extra like you?" said Bakugo. "You just called me an extra and you expect me to break the rules of the therapy group," said Mashireo with his eye twitching. Bakugo didn't answer. His third attempt went even worse. "Hey, Vice Rep!" he called out. Momo froze, took a breath. Much like how Izuku dealt with him, she would use her past life-like personality. And it should be noted that in her past life she had a terrifying glare, which thankfully tendered over well while in Urza mode. "You honestly think that I'm going to betray my friend's trust so you can continue to harass him?" asked Momo. Bakugo didn't answer. "You're fortunate that I would rather not break school rules," said Momo, "but don't this again, or you will regret it." She walked away smirking at the fact that Bakugo was completely silent. It should be noted that her in past life she could also deal with idiots quite easily. But that didn't stop him. He was still going to demand an answer from Toru. "Clear, girl," he yelled out. However, she stuffed a cupcake that was chocolate with bright red into his mouth. "I already know what you're going to say, so I'm not going to let you ask it," said Toru. Bakugo glared at her as he struggled to eat the cupcake. "But unlike the others, I figured out what you're doing," said Toru. She took a breath. "I can tell you're trying to figure out how to be his friend again, or at least be on good terms," said Toru, "but I don't think it's a good idea. He needs time and you need to learn to be honest with yourself. Demanding answers and forcing your way into it isn't going to work." "What do you know?" yelled Bakugo after he managed to swallow his cupcake. "Well, I did teach at the School of Friendship that my friend started so that all creates could friendship," said Toru. "I know I said friendship way too many times, but it is a really big deal in my past life." Bakugo just glared at her. "Look, you'll figure it out one day, or something will happen that will make you figure it out," said Toru. Then she pulled out another cupcake. "But for now you want another cupcake?" Bakugo glared at her. "I'm only taking it because you offered it," he muttered. He took the cupcake. Just as he was about to take a bite. "That's more proof that you need to be honest with yourself. If you can't admit you love the cupcake, then how are you going to patch things up with Izuku?" said Toru. "What makes you think I loved the cupcake?" asked Bakugo. "Well, I heard you love spicy things, so I made that frosting extra spicy," said Toru, "plus I even added a bit of the spice to the cake itself. I knew you would love it, and I can tell." Bakugo's eyes twitched. "Well, later," said Toru, who then skipped away while humming. Of course, this was the topic of the next therapy session. "Of course he's been trying to get answers," muttered Izuku. "Yeah," said Ochako. "Don't worry, we didn't say anything," said Mashireo. "Well, I did give him some advice, but it had nothing to do with what we talked about," said Toru. "Seriously?" asked Izuku. "Trust me, he needed it. I don't know when he'll actually use it though," said Toru. Izuku wasn't sure what to do. "If were you, I wouldn't have the baby have his bottle," said Hibiki. "Just ignore him as you have been." "Yeah," sighed Izuku. However, as the festival got closer, one day, particularly everyone in their year from the other classrooms gathered outside the door. "Why is all of the classes gathered?" asked Mineta. "They're scoping out the competition," said Kirishima. "Why does it feel like this should have happened sooner?" said Kaminari. We're the class attacked by villains, of course they would want to see us eventually, said Momo. Get out of my way, extras, yelled Bakugo, making his way out of the classroom. That was when Toru once again forced a cupcake in mouth to get him to stop talking. Gunpowder for brains doesn't speak for our class, said Izuku, entering Sanji mode to talk everyone outside the class. He's right, said Momo, entering Urza mode. Yes, we're attacked by villains, but that doesn't mean we're special. Some of don't even remember the incident, said Izuku, slipping out of Sanji mode. Which you have to admit it far worse than just getting attacked, said Momo, who didn't slip out her past life mode like Izuku, knowing that your classmates and teacher were in danger and not knowing about it until after the fact. Bakugo managed to eat up the cupcake. Seriously, he muttered. Before anything else could be said, Toru once again stuffed his mouth with a cupcake. Where do you keep getting those? Asked Mina. Don't question the cupcakes, sighed Mashireo. Most of the students looked a little guilty, however one of them went through the crowd. He was a boy with purple hair and bags under his eyes. Even if you were attacked by villains and what you went through, it doesn't matter, said the boy. If you don't make a good showing in the sports festival, if you make a bad showing, one of us can easily take your place. You know, making threats like that might end up encourage us to do better than psyching us out, said Mashireo. The purple-haired boy just glared at the class. Stop shoving cupcakes in my mouth, said Bakugo. Stop trying to make things bad for the class, yelled Toru. You have to learn about how other people are affected by your actions. Are you still teaching me about that friendship shit? Asked Bakugo. Maybe, said Toru. The purple-haired boy continued glared at the class and then left. You don't honestly think we'd get transferred out? Asked Mineta. Who knows? Said Kaminari. Since when did you guys become so manly? Asked Kirishima. I think it was when you know what happened, pointed out Mineta. Wait, are you guys trying to keep it a secret? Asked Kaminari. Achiko just sighed. Izuku looked at her and noticed. Once the crowd dispersed, she decided to walk out with Izuku and Momo. So how's your training going? Asked Achiko. I've almost got that habit out of me, said Izuku. That's good, said Achiko. Hey, what's wrong? Asked Izuku. I just noticed how you got so much stronger, said Achiko. You guys are so lucky. I don't know if I'll get that far in the sports festival. Don't say that, said Izuku. Knowing you, you'll just fine. Have you been training to figure out how to combine the skills you did keep with your quirk? Said Momo. I have, but I don't know if that will work, said Achiko. Hey, don't get yourself down, I'm sure you can figure something out, said Izuku. I'm sure you can. Thanks, said Achiko, blushing. Then Izuku's eyes turned to hearts and he started dancing. He managed to stop himself and blushed. Has he been doing that a lot in training? Asked Achiko. Not as much as you would think, said Momo with a sweat drop. The day before the sports festival, both Izuku and Momo were breathing heavily on the beach where they were training that day. You think you're ready? Asked Momo. As ready as I'll ever be, said Izuku. Both of them then shook hands. Remember, during the sports festival we're rivals, said Momo. Izuku smiled and nodded. And soon it would be the sports festival with none of them knowing what was going to happen. And hopefully it wouldn't be a mess. That will be it for this part. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment if you want part 8. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. I hope to see you all in the next one.